What is up, guys? It is 2KJ back at it again with another week of NFL talk. Today we got another round of free agency. This week the AFC West went off, so I ended up making grades for each team based on what they did just for this week. It's not the whole off season's free agency, it's just this week. So yeah, it's gonna be a little different than what you would think. So don't take Russell Wilson not being on this list personally. So to start off, we got the Bills in the AFC East. Going down, they picked up a lot of guys. Picked up 6, 9. They picked up 12 guys in free agency, re-signs and signees. They got Case Keenum in a trade with the Browns. I'm pretty sure he's already played with the Broncos, and that didn't go well. Sorry, not the Broncos, the Bills. Case Keenum got traded to the Bills with the Browns trade. So this will be his first time with the Bills. He's probably just going to be a backup to Josh Allen. Nothing special there. Jake Kummerow was a Packer at one point. He was a guy that kept going unsigned, undrafted, all that good stuff. And the Packers gave him a chance. He made some magic with A-Rod, and it got him a revamp on his career. And now he's in Buffalo, re-signing on another one-year deal. With their talent, he probably would just be a strong backup. Speaking as another receiver, they're getting Isaiah McKenzie, so they will be battling it out for the backup spots, really. Next position, they got O.J. Howard from the Buccaneers, and I think he's a great pickup because they didn't have, I would say, in my opinion, they didn't have any good tight ends. So bringing in O.J. Howard, he was from the Buccaneers. He won a Super Bowl. He's hung with Rob Gronkowski, so I think he's picked up a couple things, and he can bring some depth to that tight end chart. Then they also brought in some linemen. They got Roger Saffold and Mitch Morse. Mitch Morse signed a 2-year, $19.5 million extension, which includes $12 million guaranteed. Shaq Lawson they signed. He's the defensive end. He got a 2-year contract, as well as Von Miller. They got Von Miller on a 6-year, $120 million contract, and Von Miller specifically said that he fucks with Josh Allen, and that's why he signed there. And that's going to be a super team, and they're in a very easy conference with a very strong team that already went very far in the playoffs. So I think they can come back and be one of those top 4 AFC teams that's fighting for a championship. On to the Dolphins. They signed Teddy Bridgewater a 1-year, $6.5 million guaranteed deal. So this will probably put them, to go back on the Bills, I give them a B+, just because of all the big signs they had. They had O.J. Howard, Shaq Lawson, and Von Miller, all guys that are definitely going to start and make big impacts on the team. So I give them a B+ for that. Now, going on to the Miami Dolphins, we got Teddy Bridgewater, and like I said, he's a $6.5 million deal for 1 year. And the greatest thing about that is it's all guaranteed. So he's going to get all the money no matter if he plays or not. He's on the team, he's on the lineup, game check. They picked up Chase Edmonds on a 2-year, $12.6 million contract. I don't think that's as big of a deal because they also got other running backs in there. Raheem Mostert signed another 1-year deal with $3.1 million, and they also signed their fullback to a 2-year, $7.5 million deal, Alec Ingold. So it looks like, from my point of view, they're looking at putting competition at every position at offense. They signed 3 receivers, signed 2 and re-signed a 3rd. So everybody on offense is going to be competing for their starting spot. And I think that's just coming in with a new head coach and new look at the offense. Defensive-wise, they got 4 depth players, 3 linebackers, and a defensive end. Emmanuel Ogbah re-signed for a 4-year, $65 million deal. And it's going to pay him $32 million in his first 2 years. So then they got Duke Riley, Eldon Roberts, and Brennan Scarlett. Those three are all linebackers that are going to fill their core. All signing to like $3 million deals. Nothing too crazy, but they're going to be able to produce with those linebackers at least. I give them a B, just because of all of the pickups that they got. They're bringing in guys that can compete for positions and not guys that they were going to hope can produce as starters. So good looking B for the Dolphins. To the Patriots, I give them a B minus, and here's why. They're just doing a lot of re-signs. They're not looking at free agency. They're just kind of trying to keep the guys they had last year. They got Brian Hoyer back as their backup because Mac Jones is going to start. They did sign Ty Montgomery, and what's funny is I was in a Facebook debate where I brought up J.C. Jackson leaving New England, which we'll talk about. But the person rebutted back with they got Ty Montgomery, and I thought, okay, maybe there's multiple Ty Montgomerys. Maybe this is like a rookie corner or somebody, third-year guy I haven't heard of. It's doing good. Nope, it's the running back from 2018 Green Bay Packers who disobeyed the head coach and ran it out of the end zone and fumbled it, giving up the game, losing to the Super Bowl attending Los Angeles Rams. Same guy who then, right before the trade block ended, goes to the Ravens and sits with Lamar Jackson and Mark Ingram and didn't do anything. Watched Mark Ingram and Lamar Jackson from the sideline. So now he's on to the Patriots, where they aren't strong at running back, but they have running back, so you still have to compete. But they're missing that corner from when J.C. Jackson left, just to be clear. Still don't have a corner. They re-signed James White, another re-sign. Brought back a lot of their linemen, James Frentz, Jawan Bentley. He agreed to terms on a 2-year deal worth $9 million, so not too bad. They got Mac Wilson and Terrence Mitchell. Okay, so yeah, they got a corner, Terrence Mitchell, but he signed a regular free agency contract. Nothing big. Their biggest signing, I think, was Matthew Slater. They re-signed him, and he's a special teams guy. He signed 1 year, $2.6 million. I believe Matthew Slater is just a gunner. I don't even think he's a kick returner. He's just a gunner, and he's very good at gunning. Don't get me wrong, he's a great gunner. But I don't see anybody paying a gunner $2.6 million. That's almost as bonkers as Taysom Hill's contract. Does Matthew Slater cover anybody or catch a ball or run a route? Because they have him down as special teams at $2.6 million. I don't like that contract. Yeah, and that's kind of why I give them a B minus. They're just fucking around with their money, and they got rid of Chase Winovich, but they got Mac Wilson instead. I think Mac Wilson's a great linebacker, but I think he's older than Chase Winovich, and Chase Winovich could have been that guy. I don't know. I'm not a Patriots fan, but I think it was a bad move to let Winovich go and get Mac Wilson, but hey. It's all right. Now, next, we got the New York Jets, or the New Jersey Jets. They re-signed Joe Flacco, big whoop. Zach Wilson's probably going to start. If he gets hurt, Joe Flacco's, maybe he's got something left in him. They got Tevin Coleman back at a $1.5 million deal. They got Braxton Berrios. They re-signed him to a 2-year, $12 million contract, and the way he's been playing, he's got a couple years under his belt, especially one with New England, and this is really his prove-it year, because his stats aren't there, but if he has a good year, then that extra year on his 2-year contract could help solidify him on the team. But I really feel like this contract is his last contract. He needs to do something to make some noise so he can get some money, or I can see him falling out, and by week 8, they have somebody in his spot, or they're just not playing good enough, and he gets to start. Hey, speaking about starting, they got 2 great tight ends. They got the Bengals' C.J. Uzomah and the Vikings' Tyler Conklin. Both those guys are going to make a great impact on the Jets' tight end scenario. Uzomah signed a 3-year deal worth $24 million, so I'm assuming they're going to really put pressure on him to start. I think the Super Bowl campaign helped his case, and that's also kind of why they're giving him that kind of extra money. Other than that, they re-signed Connor McDermott to another 1 year. Laken Tomlinson, an offensive guard, they signed to a 3-year, $40 million. While they got some of their defensive players here. Nathan Shepard got a free agent contract. He's a defensive tackle. And Jacob Martin threw in a 13.5 3-year contract. He's the linebacker. And cornerback DJ Reed signed a 3-year, $33 million contract. So he's gonna make $11 million every year. I don't know about that Jacob Martin contract. I feel like they're gonna regret that, but 3 years at $13 million is only about 4 some million a year, so it's not gonna affect their cap too bad. And I gave them a B just because they got a safety in Jordan Whitehead, so they gave him a 2-year, 14.5. And this is kind of why I gave them a B, was because of those 2 tight ends, and then they got a Super Bowl winning safety that they just signed to the Jets, and LaMarcus Joyner, who's a veteran corner. He was hurt last year, so now it's just kind of up to him to make something out of that 1 year, and hopefully, the Jets come back looking a little bit better. Overall, they got a couple of DBs that are veterans, and they can maybe lead the way. They got some linebacks, so that they'll be all right there, and then tight ends, so that they can improve their offense. But a lot of unproven guys, a lot of scenarios that could happen that could make this all fail for them. Going on to the Ravens, we got Morgan Moses. He has not missed a game since 2015. He signed a 3-year, $15 million deal with the Ravens at offensive tackle. See, 2 years ago, they got rid of their left tackle, Orlando Brown Jr., I think is what his name was. But, yeah, they gave him to the Chiefs. I think that line got worse over the year after that departure, which led to Lamar having more problems in the pocket, getting hurt more, getting hit more, just not a good time. So I think they understood the line is something you need, and we'll bring in somebody to help. Next, they got Michael Pierce. He is a defensive tackle. Last year, he had 8 games with 3 sacks and 19 tackles. That's not too crazy, but with 8 games, if you add the other 8, he's coming in at 40 tackles and 6 sacks. That's a little bit better, something slight. He gets a 3-year, $16.5 million contract. And lastly, I think this is my favorite free agency signing of the year so far. Marcus Williams, the safety from New Orleans, goes to Baltimore for a 5-year, $70 million contract. Now, what this does is, back when Earl Thomas used to be on the Baltimore Ravens, he had problems with being free safety because he couldn't understand the scheme that the Ravens wanted to implement, which caused turmoil, which caused gaps in their coverage. It was just, they cut him. That's because Earl Thomas ran a simple cover 3 in Seattle, so all he knows is drop back and look for somebody. Now in Baltimore, they're doing disguises, and they're trying to do a cover 3 show cover 2, cover 2 show cover 3, and it's confusing them because you got to communicate a little bit more. Marcus Williams already does this stuff, and the highlights show that. And I like this pickup just because that is the one piece I feel like on defense they were missing, other than obviously they're, well, now that they don't have Zadarius Smith, they're edge, honestly, because Zadarius Smith was going to sign there, and then he opted out. We don't know what that could lead to. Maybe he's coming back to Green Bay. Maybe he's going somewhere else with better money. But they do need an edge rusher. I think that picking up the safety, though, was a great option. Maybe what happened is they did not tell Zadarius Smith they're picking up the safety, and then once that happened, he was already out of luck. Now they don't have money for him. They got to pay him less, and he opts out. But either way, I give him a C+ just because there's 3 guys on this list. I can't really give him props for only signing 3 guys. There are 3 big pieces, and putting a lot of pressure on those 3 guys could cause them to crack. For instance, you just paid this safety, but what happens if he breaks his shoulder or something, breaks a collarbone? He's out. And now you still have that gaping hole in your defense. What happens if he hasn't missed a game in 2015, but what happens if he missed a game next year? Then you got Lamar sitting back in the pocket getting butt-fucked by defensive ends all game. So I just gave him a C+ because I don't think they have enough depth, and they didn't sign enough people, quantities over quality. I think they're just shooting for Pro Bowl players, which, hey, it's fine. Nobody's judging you. I'm just hoping that they don't get hurt. So, going on to the Bengals, we got Brandon Allen. He was the quarterback, just gonna be a backup for Joe Burrow. Then they replaced Uzomah with Hayden Hurst. He was the Atlanta Falcons old tight end. He's getting a 1-year contract. And offensive line, La'el Collins, he's also signing a 3-year deal. I think during the Super Bowl, the Bengals learned that Joe Burrow is getting beat the shit up, especially from that #1 defensive line that the Rams hold. So, well, did hold. Now Von Miller's gone. But I think this signing will be good because La'el Collins is coming off a down season. So now that they're in talks and they can sign him, they got him for cheaper, and they can also use him because he's still a great offensive lineman. Okay. Also, Alex Kappa signed a 4-year, $35 million year. That includes $20 million over the first 2 years and $1 million in Pro Bowl incentives. This is a great pickup. Like I said, they're just adding line after line after line. They got Ted Karras, offensive line as well. He just signed a 3-year, $18 million contract. So they're putting a good chunk of money into their lines. They're making sure that next year that shit does not happen. And I've noticed that with the last couple of superstar teams who have young quarterbacks who are very good, they see Patrick Mahomes got beat to shit by the Niners defense. No, not the Niners, the Buccaneers defense. Well, and the Niners defense, honestly. Shit. But both times, yeah, Pat got fucked up. And so right after the Buccaneers Super Bowl loss, they immediately went and they immediately sent a first round to Baltimore to get their left tackle. So I see the same thing happening here in Cincy. The other guys that they got BJ Hill, who re-signed on a 3-year, $30 million, which includes $15 million in the first year. He's a defensive tackle. Defensive lineman Josh Dupeau, cornerback Eli Apple re-signed. DB Michael Thomas re-signed, and the long snapper Clark Harris re-signed. This gives me, I give him a B+, just because they lost some guys due to free agency, but it looks like they replaced them and also were able to sign some more people, as well as improving their O-line. That was a big problem, and I think they just took care of that for the future. Next, the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns had a very active week, I'm not going to lie. They got Deshaun Watson in a big-ass trade. That trade comes with a 24 5th round in exchange for 3 first rounds. Yeah. So Texas gave up Deshaun Watson and a 2024 5th round for Cleveland's 3 first rounders, a 3rd rounder, and a 4th rounder. And Watson is still going to be getting a full guaranteed 5-year, $230 million contract. Wow. So impressive. That's almost $50 million a year, man. Damn near. So then they, this is the weirdest thing. Look at this. So now Cleveland's got Deshaun Watson, Baker Mayfield, and they signed Jacoby Brissett. So now you got 3 QBs in the room, just chilling like a villain. They also traded for Amari Cooper, giving them a 2022 5th-round pick. This was more just like Amari Cooper having a big contract and Dallas not being able to pay him or wanting to pay him. So instead, they give him up for the low, and somebody eats the cap. But he's a great player, so you can't say anything about it. It's just it wasn't in Dallas's plan. They also signed Jakeem Grant to a 3-year, $13.8 million deal. Chase Winovich came down from New England, and he signed a 3-year, $13.8 as well. Or I'm sorry, he did not sign a contract. He was traded. My dumbass. I was reading the wrong line. Defense tackle Taven Bryan, he signed a 1-year deal, and it was worth up to $5 million. Now, I do see that this guy has 100 tackles in only 13 games, 100 plus tackles in 13 games. The linebacker Anthony Walker, he's resigning, and I think that's a good steal, honestly, just because they'll be able to use him in the run game, and he'll be able to make sure. I mean, the AFC East has a lot of running backs, and especially a lot of running quarterbacks. So if you can get a guy that has 100 plus tackles, that means he's doing some work in the box. Pause. But yeah, they get a B plus just because they're changing the scenery, and it looks great. You know, it would be an A minus, A plus, but I just wonder, is it going to be good or bad for them in the long run? Next, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers. They got Dwayne Haskins and Mitch Trubisky. Dwayne Haskins signed in the 2.54 tender, and Mitch signed a 2-year, $14 million deal. That's worth up to $27 million with incentives. So it sounds like they're gonna have Mitch start, but they got Dwayne Haskins in there to run the QB battle, just to see who's the starter. But I honestly think Dwayne Haskins is a fine football player. I just think he needs to fix his attitude. I've heard a lot of rumors about how he's very blame it on everybody else, self-centered, thinks he's a very good quarterback, and then the facts hit him and he can't take it. That's just what I've heard. I'm not Ian Rappaport. I can't interview the guy, but I think they're going to just test him in the locker room, see if he works. If his throws are looking better than Mitch's, they'll give him a shot in the game and see what happens. But I think Mitch is the starter right now, as of, or maybe Mason Rudolph, maybe still there. But I think Mitch will be the starter first. Offensive tackle Chukwuma Okorafor, he re-signed a 3-year, $29 million deal with $20 million of it guaranteed. So getting another tackle in. I think that is just because, they had a couple retirees, so grab somebody, and yeah. And they also signed 2 other linemen, James Daniels and Mason Cole. James Daniels signed a 3-year, $26 million deal, while Mason Cole just signed a regular free agency contract. This other pick they got, linebacker Miles Jack, big steal from Jacksonville. He signed a 2-year deal. He should be good in the box as well as Robert Spillane. He got a tender worth $2.4 million. And then lastly, the Steelers pick up 4 DBs real quick. They get Arthur Mollett, Levi Wallace, Akello Witherspoon, and Miles Kilbrew. All those guys signed basic contracts. I think it's just to add depth to their roster at that position. But overall, they really kind of spread it out. They got a couple guys at skill positions. They got a couple linemen. And then they really went crazy on their defensive players. I don't think these guys are like full-blown starters. I don't think these guys are Pro Bowlers yet. I think they're just guys working on their craft, and that can only be done with time. Yeah, I give them a C plus, just because they got a lot of defensive players, and defense does win games, so it's good that they're taking care of that. But why so many QBs? Why are you paying 3 QBs, 2 at least right now, that you just saw this week? That's my problem with it. The AFC South, we got Jeff Driscoll, normal backup. Well, he may not be a backup. Coming week 1, he's in Houston. So right now he's probably expecting to be a backup, but he's probably getting starting snaps. It all depends what happens with Houston and their quarterback issue. But they picked up running back Royce Freeman. He's re-signing, as well as Dare Ogunbowale. Ogunbowale. He signed a 2-year, $3.3 million deal. They got a receiver, Chris Conley, taking on a 1-year, $2 million contract. Their tight end is going to be Pharaoh Brown, and he got a 1-year contract worth up $4 million. And then they pulled in looks like 3 linemen, where they got Cedric Ogogwe. Jeez, these names. Justin Britt and AJ Can. AJ Can, they spent $10.5 million on him for 2 years. Malik Collins signed a 2-year, $17 million deal, and he plays defensive tackle. And then here's the crazy thing. I don't know why they I don't know why Houston did this. Houston picked up 5 linebackers. Blake Cashman, they got a trade with the Jets in exchange for a 23 6th-round pick. Camu Gredger-Hill is re-signing on a $4 million deal. Christian Kirksey's re-signing on a 2-year, $10 million deal. Ogbo Okorono agrees to a contract as well. Those are all linebackers for the Texans, and they have to make a decision at some point who they're going to pick or who they're going to keep. They also have Jalen Reeves and Maybin. He's signed a 2-year, $7.5 million deal, so that's 5 linebackers. That's 5 linebackers. And it's not even the end of March. You're not gonna draft any linebackers. So they also got 2 safeties, Terrence Brooks and MJ Stewart. They're both signed in 1-year, $2 and $3 million deals. Nothing crazy. And they picked up Desmond King on a 2-year, $7 million deal. That's a little bit more impressive. I don't think he's a full-blown Jalen Ramsey yet, but hey, he's a good pickup. He is a great pickup for a team that doesn't have many DBs. Overall, though, I gave them a C just because they lost Deshaun Watson that week, and they got good offensive line and linebacker depth, but what about the rest of the team? They don't have many other options at receiver, and their run game is not there. I don't think they have a run game, except for now they just signed Royce Freeman. The Colts. I love talking about the Colts. They took over the tight end spot, and Mo Ali Cox. He's got a 3-year, $18 million deal going on. They signed Matt Pryor back to a 1-year, $5.5 million deal, as well as Tyquan Lewis to a 1-year, $3 million year. He is the defensive end. Yannick Ngakoue was traded to the Colts from the Raiders as for their corner Rock Ya-Sin. So they're going to take a loss with their young corner Rock Ya-Sin, but they're going to be able to bring in Yannick Ngakoue and get that good pressure going. They are bringing, and that could be not rumors, but it could help their chances of drafting a DB in the future. You never know. Zaire Franklin was the linebacker. He resigns, as well as Brandon Faison. He signs a 1-year, $3.8 million deal, and he is a corner. This is a C plus kind of free agency for me. It looks like they're just re-signing a lot of guys. The only big thing I saw was the Yannick Ngakoue, and that was a trade. So the only thing I'm thinking of is like, yeah, resign. They're just resigning people. Resign, trade, sign. So yeah, no worries about it. It's just you gotta sign, go out and explore, go out and find people to trade with, or go out and find guys who are not in the league that need a job. The Jaguars did a pretty good job, I'm not gonna lie. They got Zay Jones. They signed to a 3-year, $24 million contract. Christian Kirk, who signed a 4-year, $72 million contract, but I don't believe he really deserved that money. I think he was believing the hype a little bit too much in Arizona. I think that cost him, and so now he's got to really prove it in Jacksonville with young Trevor Lawrence, and that might go well, might not. But hey, this is where it gets good. This is where it gets good. Evan Ingram signed a 1-year deal. He was the Giants' tight end last year. Whenever Daniel Jones needed people to throw to, Evan Ingram was there. They also picked up a guard, Brandon Scherf. He signs a 3-year, $49 million contract. That'll help keep Trevor Lawrence a little bit more safe. Tyler Shatley, he re-signed to a 2-year, $6.8 million deal as well. So you got 2 guys coming back just to protect Trevor Lawrence. It's really important because that's your bread and butter. You just spent you spent the first overall pick on him. You should at least try and take care of him. The defensive tackle Foley Fatukasi, he signed a 3-year, $30 million deal, and it includes $20 million that's fully guaranteed. Foy Olokan, he also signed a 3-year, $45 million deal. So you're getting a little bit of depth at linebacker, D-tackle, corner. Trey Herndon, and Darius Williams are both coming, are going down to Jacksonville to play DB. Overall, I think they're giving a lot of money up to those unproven guys, but on the bright side, even though they are doing that, I think they're giving Trevor Lawrence a lot of weapons to use, so they can't really blame it on themselves if Trevor Lawrence starts fucking up now. I give him a B, honestly, just because. But no. So then we get done with that, and we go to Tennessee Titans, the last team in the South. So we got Robbie Woods, Austin Hooper, Geoff Swaim, Ben Jones. Those are all guys coming either to win or to come back to win. Robbie Woods, he was traded. He was acquired in the trade with the Rams. Sorry. Stupid as fuck. He was acquired in the trade with the Rams. So he'll be kind of taking off Julio's spot. That will help open up AJ Green and improve the passing for whoever's at quarterback. If it's not Ryan Tannehill. Austin Hooper and Geoff Swaim will be the tight ends, both signing to 1-year $6 and a 1-year $3.5 mil. Both those guys will bring in depth to the tight end spot. I don't believe who they have. I can't remember. He's not all right though. He's decent, but I think this will give them a little bit more pass heavy aggression with that tight ends, and they got a run blocking tight end. So that'll be good. Ben Jones is a corner, as well as DeMarco Jones being an offensive lineman. Both of those guys got signed as well. So it looks like they're bringing in some line. And then, 2 little special teams guys, Morgan Cox at long snapper and Randy Bullock at kicker. Bullock is a good kicker. I believe all kickers are the same, so I don't really care which one's on my team. But when they miss a field goal, you wish they weren't on your team. I feel you. I gave them a B, the Titans, because they just replaced their wide receiver from Julio to Robbie Woods, and they got better tight ends. That'll help a lot. The AFC West, the big wild, wild West. Here we go. All right, so Denver, I gave them a B+. They got Josh Johnson at quarterback. He's their backup. And then they brought in 2 offensive linemen, Calvin Anderson and Tom Compton. And both those guys are either signing or re-signing. And the deals are not expensive enough where the infographic even tells me the price. So I'm assuming that both these guys got signed to very cheap deals and that they're not going to be a huge threat to the cap. Because if they weren't, then Randy Gregory is, of course. He signed a 5-year deal for $70 million. The defensive end is going to get $28 million guaranteed, as well as DT Jones. He signed a 3-year deal worth $30 million, and he's going to get $20 million guaranteed. We got Deshaun Williams, Jose Jewell, Malik Reed, and Alex Singleton all following up. Right now, I just give them a B+, because they got their offense right last week. Now they're trying to get their defense right, I can tell. So that should be a good team in the fall to play. The Chiefs, they re-signed Chad Henne, backup quarterback. They also signed over Juju Smith-Schuster. Now, I think this is a prove-it year. He is on a 1-year deal, the max value of $10.7 million with incentives. But I don't think we are able to determine that he's a Pro Bowl or a high-caliber receiver yet, because he hasn't proven that. I think this is the year that that's proven if he is or not. Moving on, we got Frank Clark at defensive end. He's signing to another 2-year, $29 million deal. Basically, it's not a re-signing, or it is a re-signing. It's not like a free agency pickup, because he's just basically renewing his agreement in the best financially way possible. And that's going to help in the future. But yeah, because if he has to scrap that final year, he's getting paid more. But it will also lower the cap for the 2022 season. So that's kind of like how this all makes like a puzzle, or you gotta be like good with Sudoku to be able to do this shit. They picked Justin Reed up. He's a 3-year, $31.5 million deal. That includes $20 million guarantee. And so, I give them a B. They got good signs. All of their players are good. They're Pro Bowl worthy. It's just they got to play well together. And if they play well together, well, boom. Boom. You got a winning formula right there, dog. Moving on, we got the Las Vegas Raiders. They picked up Amir Abdullah. He signed with the Raiders. He's a good running back from Detroit. Just a solid player. Devontae Adams. Yep, they got Devontae Adams. All right. I think football is a transactional game. So whenever I was thinking about this, I wasn't really bothered, because we have the best passer in the league, and I think that's more important than the best catcher in the league, because if you can't get the ball to the catcher, then the catcher can't do his job. It all starts with the passer. So, if Derek Carr can't complete the transaction to Devontae Adams, 2 things will happen. Derek Carr will look... stretch break. Derek Carr will look like a fraud, and Devontae Adams will look better than he did with Aaron Rodgers, making him the best receiver ever. Or Derek Carr will be a fraud and Devontae Adams will follow. Simple as that. I think Devontae Adams is a great player. but I think a little of it, just a little bit of it, was the help of Aaron Rodgers. I'd like to see him play with with Derek Carr, and I'd like to see how that runs. If he wins 11 games with them and he gets Offensive Player of the Year, go fucking crazy, bud. But realistically, I don't see it. Derek Carr's not the same passer as Aaron Rodgers. He's like 5 inches shorter than him. He's not gonna be able to see over the line as good, let alone a corner who's on your inside hip, and he's got to throw it over his head into a perfect corner. Like, come on, dog. We as a Packer community were willing to pay him more than what the Raiders were willing to pay him. So it's completely a personal, him wanting to go to South Beach. I'm taking my bags to South Beach. All right, well, we'll save the division hats and t-shirts for when you come back, because that's all we're going to be doing while you pick up red Pro Bowl jerseys. That's all you're going to be picking up, in my opinion. Cool guy, though. I wish he'd come back. Now I'm going to have to pay $300 for a Packers Devontae Adams jersey instead of $100. Really the only downfall I'm getting out of this. But anyways, other than that, let's see who else they get. They got Chandler Jones. He signed a deal that pays him about $52 million over 3 years, including $34 million guaranteed. And then they got Rocky Sin from the Colts after they gave up Yannick Ngakoue. That's so clutch, though. They could have kept Yannick Ngakoue and had Chandler Jones, but they just signed Max Crosby to a deal. So now they have. That is the exact way I would run a GM. You have a player you don't need, throw him in the trade pool, get another player you do need. Rocky Sin, welcome to the Raiders. He's a young corner. I think that will produce very well. I gave the Raiders an A- because they hit every need and every weapon, and made their weakest spot DBs, while still picking up Anthony Everett and Rocky Sin. So if DB is their weakest spot, they still hit it right on the head. So yeah, A-. They did really great this week. They saw the smoke that was coming from all the other teams, and they said, all right, bet. All right, now we're on to the Chargers. Okay, so we got Chase Daniel. He's just signing a little bit of a free agent contract, going to be Justin Herbert's backup. They got Gerald Everett. He's signing a 2-year, $12 million deal. That's going to give them a little bit of options. I believe Jared Cook is done. If not, they still have him. They just gave him $13 million for it. They gave Christian Covington a little contract. He re-signed, as well as Austin Johnson, the defensive tackle. He signed as well. And then Sebastian Joseph Day signed a 3-year, $24 million deal as well. So they're really stacking their defensive line. That's going to be very good, because it looks like the rest of the AFC West is doing the same thing. On top of that, they got 2 big Pro Bowl captains on their defense. This is going to make them one step closer to the Super Bowl. They got Khalil Mack and J.C. Jackson. J.C. Jackson signed a 5-year, $82 million deal with $40 million guaranteed, while Khalil Mack was just traded in exchange for a 2nd and a 6th. Very easy. But Khalil Mack has that money that Chicago didn't want to deal with no more, so they went and sold him off. So that basically concludes the West, AFC West. I gave the Chargers an A, because they got their defense right, and they set up their 2 Pro Bowl defensive players together, and with that chemistry, I think they're going to be unstoppable. They already have an amazing offense. Earlier this year, they already signed Mike Williams. The Chargers are going to be in my opinion, the team that is going to give the Chiefs the most problems. Russ and the Broncos look scary, but they have never played together and they're still learning. The Chargers are like the most built and most hungry for the Super Bowl compared to all the others. The Chiefs have been there. They may want to go back, but right now they're more worried about brothers of players. So they're on a different type of decline/incline than the Chargers. The NFC East, though, we saw the Cowboys sell out Amari Cooper and give Michael Gallup all that money they gave up. Give him a 5-year, $57 million contract. This is what I'm talking about. These teams got to stop playing with these fucking receivers. They do not need this much money. Michael Gallup does not need $23 million fully guaranteed to him. He did not earn that. James Washington, he got a 1-year deal, as well as DeMarcus Lawrence agreeing to another 3-year, $40 million deal with $30 million of it guaranteed. They brought in Dante Fowler, and as well as Leighton Vander Esch getting a re-sign, so that he'll be there for another year. You don't want to give him up. He is a very good 2.0 of Luke Kuechly, in my opinion. Dante Fowler, or Malik Hooker, the safety, I believe he played in Indianapolis at some point. He just re-signed to a 2-year, $8 million deal. And I give the Cowboys a B+. They kept a lot of their guys and kept them there by paying them. DeMarcus Lawrence didn't just stay because he likes Dallas. He got paid. LVS, or LVE, Leighton Vander Esch, he got paid. So, not too bad. The Giants, they picked up QB Tyrod Taylor to a 2-year, $11 million deal. This could give them a push to change the momentum that Daniel Jones has brought them. Hopefully they switch it up, because I never trusted him from the start. I did not see him being a starter. I was baffled whenever he was taken in the first round. Ricky Seals-Jones is a tight end. He's going to be there to replace Evan Ingram's spot. But with the way that Daniel Jones is passing, it's okay. 2 offensive linemen, John Feliciano and Mark Glowinski, both signed free agent contracts. So, they are trying to appreciate Daniel Jones, even though he does suck, by giving him 2 great offensive linemen they can sign. And that's also why I give him a B, was because the offensive line and all the other offensive replacements definitely could work for this Giants team. On to the Philadelphia Eagles. We got Boston Scott. He signed a 1-year, $1.7 million contract. I like that because Boston Scott's a guy who's been in Philly for a while, and he's been playing pretty good for them. And giving him the reins to be the rusher for the team could be something that goes well for them. They signed Greg Ward to a 1-year contract. Fletcher Cox signed a 1-year contract worth $14 million. Hassan Reddick signed a 3-year, $45 million deal. So it looks like, defensive wise, there's going to be great interior front, as well as the linebacker core. And then Anthony Harris re-signed a 1-year, $2.5 million deal at safety. So you're going to have a lot of different spots down in the defense that are being full. And offensive wise, they're just making sure they got their guys. Andre Chatry also got a 1-year contract, but overall, the Philadelphia Eagles get a B-. They didn't break the bank, but they got the guy they need at linebacker. So that was the most important thing to them. The Commanders, they went crazy, and I'm really happy to see this. They went and got Carson Wentz. J.D. McKissick resigned, Cam Sims resigned, Andrew Norwell signed, Tyler Larson resigned, and Bobby McCain resigned. All those guys except Bobby McCain are offensive players, and then Bobby McCain's a defensive back. This is because, in my opinion, the defense for Washington is already so unmatched that, I mean, especially that defensive line, sheesh. Um, they don't need to really add many replacements. They just need that quarterback and a couple good keys on offense. They got Scary Terry, and I believe they have Jordan Reed still, but if they don't, they can always get another tight end. My point being, yeah, they got a B plus simply off of just building on your offense and showing that you're here to win. Going on to the north. Damn, that was tough. The East did not do shit. Going on to the north, the Bears went and got Byron Pringle and signed him to a 1-year, $4 million contract. They got Equanimous St. Brown from the Packers. I don't think he's going to do nothing. Simply just because of when he produced in Green Bay, it wasn't. He never produced in Green Bay. Let's be real. I don't think he scored a touchdown. But somebody who did produce in Green Bay, Lucas Patrick. He signed a 2-year, $8 million contract, and he is good. He played for the Packers and didn't allow a single sack on Rodgers. I believe, not as a rookie, but in his first year starting. Al-Qaeda Muhammad, oh damn it. Al-Qaeda Muhammad signed a 2-year deal, and he's a defensive end. So I gave the Bears a C+. They look young, good. They have a young, good core, but there's not much history on these guys. So the only villain I can really tell is going to produce is Lucas Patrick. The rest of them, and Byron Pringle, but the rest of them, they're gonna have to really show that they want to be there and win, or else they're not gonna win, because this is a tough division to get through, and the Bears are not a good team to be on if you're gonna be losing. As well as those people, they got Justin Jones at defensive tackle, Nick Morrow from linebacker, DeAndre Houston Carson at DB, and then Patrick Scales at long snapper. So, like I said, they're just re-signing and picking up guys that are young, that can put in work, and that's always a good thing too, because if you don't know a guy, you can't game plan against him, then you're gonna have to game plan in the game, and that's not enough time to fix a lot of your mistakes. And that's why guys like what's his name? Joe Burrow, and what's his buddy's name? I can't remember, man. But you see it all the time. Tyreek Hill and Kareem Hunt, whenever they went to New England, zoom, both of them had a field day. The Patriots got smacked in the mouth. Yeah, you always can't tell with those young guys. They can be good or they can be bad. The Lions, on the other hand, they picked up 2 quarterbacks, David Blow and Tim Boyle. Tim Boyle's a 3rd stringer for the Green Bay Packers, so he just may be practice squad. But as well as that, they picked up 3 receivers, DJ Clark, Khalif Raymond, and Josh Reynolds. Those 2 both re-signed, but DJ Chark, he signed a 1-year, $10 million contract. And so this just gives them a good core of receivers. I'm assuming they're going to take the guys that they had and they're going to start them, and these guys are going to be mainly the backups. But hey, I wouldn't pay a guy $10 million to sit on my sideline. Garrett Griffin is a tight end, but that's not that big of a deal. They got TJ Hawkinson, but he will be a good blocking tight end, so they can get some of that run game going. Evan Brown, he re-signed to a 1-year, $2 million contract. He's just a lineman real quick. That's just going to give them stabilization under that line, so that they know what they're doing. They don't give up too much from the run game or the pass. Next, they got Charles Harris, who signed a 2-year, $14 million deal, as well as Alex Anzelo. He also got a 1-year, $2.2 million. Safety Tracy Walker re-signed to a 3-year, $25 million deal, And defensive back CJ Moore got 1 year worth $2.4 million. So it looks like they're giving their defense a lot of the money, but they're still signing a good chunk of different talent. C- is there overall, just because all they really were doing was re-signing guys, and based off last year, you need to be replacing, not re-signing, because some of these guys are just done. Going on to the Packers, we lost Lucas Patrick and Devontae Adams, but yeah, I just I don't know what to think. We lost Lucas to Chicago, Devontae Adams to Oakland, and we got Aaron Rodgers to a big contract. That's good. I think the biggest positive out of the Devontae Adams receiving the Devontae Adams trade was we get a lot more cap, so we're able to sign guys such as Allen Lazard, Devondre Campbell, who was our defensive MVP, Preston Smith, who's a great guy on the edge. He's a 4-year extension. We got Devondre Campbell on a 5-year deal. We got Allen Lazard, and we're paying him for another year for $3.9 million. Rasul Douglas comes back on a 3-year, $21 million deal. All those guys are coming back for multiple years, so that's always a good sign to see that they're not going to be on franchise tags or on tenders or anything like that. Overall, I gave them a C+, simply just because we lost our big guys that we needed, our superstars, but we have used that money wisely to reinvest into ourselves. Hopefully next week we can get Julio or another receiver that's veteranized. I don't want to draft somebody. The Vikings, they they signed Harrison Phillips to a 3-year, $19 million contract. He's a defensive lineman, as well as Jordan Hicks, who got a 2-year, $10 million contract. And I just gave him a C simply because they're just replacing old guys / free agents right now. Nothing too crazy from them. Next week or the week after, they'll have something crazy in stock. Don't worry. The Atlanta Falcons, I gave them a C / C- simply just because they lost Deshaun Watson. Like, how do you fuck that back up? You can't really give them props for not signing one of the top quarterbacks in the league. But either way, they did sign one of the best returners in the league at Cordero Patterson, as well as Damian Williams. And they extended Jake Matthews, which is their Hall of Fame tackle. So that's always good whenever you can get your backup safe, but you got to think about what you're going to do at quarterback and how you're going to keep a ghost safe. Somebody else is going to have to play, and we're going to be, the Falcons are going to be fucked. They picked up Elijah Wilkins. He signed a free agent deal, as well as Casey Hayward, signed in a 2-year, $11 million deal. He is a strong corner from Green Bay, and I think he went to the Chargers. So he's had a couple places that he's been having good luck with. As well as Casey Hayward, they signed Isaiah Oliver to a 1-year deal. And then lastly, Younghoe Koo to a 5-year, $24 million contract. So kickers are celebrating everywhere because Younghoe Koo has made a lot of money for 5. Yeah, I mean, you don't see that type of money going to kickers unless you're perfect. Next, we got the Carolina Panthers, and they got Deontay Foreman signing a 1-year contract, as well as Rashard Higgins, and he's signing a free agent deal. DJ Moore comes down to sign a 3-year contract extension worth $61 million. As well as Brandon Zylstra, and then Austin Corbett, Bradley Bozeman are the offensive line for, it was the Panthers. I forget this sometimes. Yeah, but they got 2 good linemen, Austin Corbett and Bradley Bozeman. coming to Carolina. And on the defensive side, you got Marquise Haynes, Matthew Ladonis, Corey Littleton, Damian Wilson, a second time. That's going to be confusing. And Dante Jackson. Sean Chandler also is a safety, as well as Xavier Woods. All three of those guys signed, but all these guys signed to super simple deals. It's pretty good for Carolina. Like, they're not blowing the bag on any of these guys. Austin Corbett got $29 million for 3 years, so $9 million a year approximately. 10 million, 9.8 million or something. I think that's their biggest contract. Dante Jackson gets a 3-year, $31.5 million. But other than that, everybody else is under $5 million. Everybody but the starters is under $5 million. Like, think about that. They did get Xavier Woods, who's a veteran safety. You know, he does know what he's doing. He signed a 3-year, $15 million deal. And best believe he gets in that open field, he's gonna blow up. Next, we got the New Orleans Saints. They signed Shaq Mason, they traded Shaq Mason in exchange for a 22 fifth-round pick. Next, we got them signing Russell Gage as well as Chris Godwin, but Chris Godwin got the franchise tag, as well as later on signing a 3-year, $60 million contract. So he's gonna be getting $20 million a year. In that first year, he's not even gonna be eligible to play. So I don't know how that works, but I don't think that was a good investment in my opinion, because you could have paid somebody who doesn't have all those knee injuries, in my opinion. Down at offensive guard, they got Aaron Stinney. He's re-signing, and then they got Ryan Jensen re-signing back to a 3-year, $39 million deal. That's a good one because that's their center that's been going batshit crazy. So yeah, that's very good. I gave them a score of A-. They also got Carlton Davis re-signed to a 3-year, $45 million deal, and then Logan Ryan from the Titans signed with the Buccaneers as well. So they're just running that checkup on everybody this year, it seems like. Down in Arizona, we got the NFC West, and James Conner signed to a 3-year, $21 million extension that gives him $16 million over the first 2 years. Max Williams will fill in the tight end spot, as they do not have one right now. Michael Doge Ray signed a 1-year contract to a piece of wood, I guess. I don't know. Sometimes they be tweaking. Let's see. Dennis Gardeck, he's a linebacker. He re-signed as well. It looks like they just re-signed everybody. So I can't give you good props if you didn't really sign anybody. The only thing I saw was the James Conner signing, but even that isn't that impressive in my opinion. You guys were just in the playoffs, you went undefeated, or you almost went undefeated like for 6 to 8 weeks straight, and then you just die off. Like, what happened? You obviously need something. But yeah, I wish they would have kept as a team, fought more. Because, like, during that playoff game, trash. The Rams got Matthew Stafford signed to a 3-year, $129 million. Gives him a $60 million signing bonus, as well as it clears off about $10 million of the Rams cap. Allen Robinson is now signing with the Rams to a 3-year, $46 million deal, as well as Joe Noteboom, Brian Allen, and that's it. Yeah, Joe Noteboom and Brian Allen are both signing as well to a 3-year, $40 million deal, and Brian is just signing to a team deal. This is a B+ because I think these are all great keeps, and they got Allen Robinson in to replace Robbie Woods. So I think that's a great trade-off because, let's face it, those guys we're not going to last with just Cooper Kupp, because once you double team Cooper Kupp, he's gonna have to make a spectacular play, and you're not gonna get that every single time. You're not. It's just gonna be impossible. So it's good that they brought in somebody else to become that second receiver. Then we got the Niners. They got Michael Hasty, and they signed him to a 1-year extension, as well as Ray McLeod, signing him to a 2-year, $10 million contract. Oren Burks, the Packers linebacker, went over to San Francisco and signed a 2-year contract, as well as Charvarius Ward, the corner, who signed a contract for 3 years, $40 million. So it looks like San Francisco's trying to fix their defensive back issue as well as their defense issue, apart from the line. Because it looks like they got George Odom, safety, to a $10 million 3-year deal as well. This gives them a lot of depth at the defensive back position, and that kind of, in my eyes, gives them a B, because that fixes that DB issue. And last but not least, after the Niners, we have the Seahawks. So they traded away Russell Wilson, and in return they got Drew Lock. You don't have a quarterback, so if you're going to have anybody, Drew Lock is, I guess, a good start. If he works with Pete Carroll, maybe they have something going. It'll give Drew Lock that revamp that he may need. They also got Rashad Penny re-signing to a 1-year, $5.7 million deal, as well as Will Dissly. He re-signed for a 3-year, $24 million contract. I think them picking him up, or him re-signing, as well as having Noah Fant in the trade, that will give them that double tight option they've been longing for since Jimmy Graham. I think that'll help open up the tight end passes and get their touchdowns and such, but because Noah Fant's a good tight end, he's just been in a bad system for a little bit. Austin Blythe is signing a 1-year, $4 million contract with the Seahawks. He's a center. And then you got Shelby Harris, who was in the trade with the Broncos, as well as Quentin Jefferson signing a free agent contract. Al Woods signing a 2-year, $9 million contract. All three of those guys are defensive linemen. Uchenna Nwosu, the linebacker, he is signing a 2-year, $20 million deal with 10.5 guaranteed. And then lastly, they got 3 defensive backs with Artie Burns signing a 1-year, $2 million, Sidney Jones signing a 1-year, $3.6 million, and Quandre Diggs re-signing with a 3-year, $40 million. I like Quandre Diggs the most because he is coming back, and he's been doing well in Seattle, so why leave? Overall, for what they're losing, they're getting back at half priced, so in my opinion, because I mean, they're basically getting Bobby Wagner back, but at a cheaper version that they can afford, and that puts them at a C+, just because you gave up a lot of stuff for not a lot of stuff, but the stuff that you did get could end up being something good. You just gotta wait. But overall, that was the rankings for this week's free agency. I'm sorry this one was a little bit yawny. I'm a little tired today. If you want, go ahead and give this video a like. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm gonna do this every week until I die. So yeah, fuck with me for real. And later.